Most organizations today are asking the wrong question about AI. They're focused on which tools to implement when they should be asking what problems as a leadership team can we be solving to take advantage of AI's potential. Mark Benioff has said today's CEOs are no longer just managing human workers, they're also going to be managing digital workers, which means we need to start by putting them on our organizational charts to be like, what are these digital workers actually even helping us with? After working with hundreds of organizations on implementing AI, I have noticed a consistent pattern. The organizations that see breakthrough success don't just adopt AI, they rethink how they lead, how they work, and how people in their organization are learning. The difference isn't in the tools they choose, it's in the practices that they are evolving and the culture they are creating. Hi everyone, I'm Sabba, and I help leaders navigate the massive shifts AI is creating across industries. From leading innovation at USC's medical program to working with Apple and now being a global AI strategist, I have seen one common mistake. Companies are investing a lot of money in AI, but neglecting the most critical element, and that is leadership transformation. AI will keep evolving. The question is, are leaders evolving with it? So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to lead with AI the right way. We're talking about why most people are doing it wrong, how real AI-enabled leaders actually make AI part of their team, and how to avoid the biggest mistake that ruins AI adoption before it even begins. Now, this isn't a theory. It's based on real-world implementations that I have led across healthcare, education, marketing, and beyond, not just with AI, but before AI, because guess what? There's not that much that is really new. Yes, the technology is new, but the strategies that make us successful are timeless. We're going to cover how you should and should not be using AI, and if you're serious about making it work for you, I want you to hit subscribe and like this video because I break this down every single week, so let's get into it. So you want to be an AI-enabled leader. I love that for you. But let's be real, most people are doing it completely wrong. And if you're just throwing AI into your workflow and calling it innovation, or just purchasing a bunch of apps for people and saying, we're AI ready, that's not leadership. That's tech FOMO in action. Let me break this down for you a little further. Let's start with the wrong way, treating AI like a shiny new gadget. This is exactly what I see most people doing. They hear about AI, they see a product on a stage, they get hyped, maybe they play around with it, they see some fancy little demos going by, and boom, that's our AI strategy. We're gonna purchase this and we're done. They start forcing AI tools into everything, thinking if we use AI, we must be ahead. But I have a spoiler alert for you. If you are just integrating AI into your existing practices without first even asking, do those practices work? Are these practices that we are actually looking to automate? You will never move the needle. And the worst part, your team isn't going to buy in, people will feel more overwhelmed, and that is exactly why people are fearful of AI, they hate AI, they don't like new technology, and they're not motivated and excited to try new things. So let's look at the right way, making AI a part of your team. You see, real AI-enabled leaders don't think of AI as a tool, they treat it like a teammate. And because they do this, people then realize AI is not here to replace humans, it's here to augment them, to amplify their creativity, and free them up for the things that actually matter. I want you to think of it like this. If AI is just another thing you're using on top of the things that you're already doing, you are playing it way too small. But if AI is embedded in how your team thinks, operates, solve problems, you're playing smart. And this is where design thinking comes in. You see, the difference between an AI-enabled leader and someone who's just adding AI to everything else they're doing is that one sees AI as a partner, a tool that supports and enhances their team's abilities, and the other is just adding AI into the mix and just hoping for the best, and that scenario is exactly where people are going to end up being replaced. One is designing AI workflows that actually are solving problems that have been on their list for so long. The other just picks up whatever AI tool is trending, dumps it into their organization with zero strategy, or sometimes they dump it into their organization even with strategy, but they haven't actually given enough time to thinking about what problem are we solving and are we really automating the right tasks and the right experiences. One group is getting buy-in from their team because AI is actually making their work easier, more creative, and more valuable. The other sometimes get passive resistance experience frustration and burnout because the team sees AI as yet another unnecessary headache. Now, I want to pause here for a moment because actually one of the most dangerous things right now is sometimes even on this side, when you implement it the wrong way into existing practices, people feel like this dopamine hit. Oh my God, it made a quiz for me this much faster. Oh my God, it created this social media post this much faster. And one of the challenging things about that environment is that quick little hit that you're getting is not actually giving you the skills you need to be successful in the long term. So what is it that you actually need to do to make sure that you're using AI the right way? Well, first of all, you don't just want to drop it into your organization and hope that it works. You need a system, a framework that's going to help you figure out, are we making the right choices? Is this really the best place for AI? How are we testing it? And as it updates, how are we going to continue to test it? And above all, how are we making sure that it's going to deliver real value? So like I said, this is where design thinking is going to come in, because here is where most people mess up. Some people hear design thinking and they're like sticky notes, brainstorming, and a lot of times it leads to no actual results. It's cute, it's fun, it makes us feel good, but in the end, they're like, oh, well, what did we even do? And then they end up thinking design thinking is useless and they go back to their old practices. You see, design thinking is a little bit more of a mindset. And yes, there are steps, the 5 ones that Stanford has made really popular, but the problem is it's great when somebody else is coming into your organization, but it's not always great for you to be able to sustain what comes next. This is where we use what are called design sprints. They cut through the fluff and they force teams to test ideas, identify the problems they want to work on, make decisions without sort of the endless back and forth, and get real results. But one of the best parts is the things that you do in a design sprint are actually replicable. You can take parts of them and apply them to meetings and other things that you're doing as well. Above all, one of the most important things that you get out of doing a design sprint that we have been saying over and over comes from Don Norman. A brilliant solution to the wrong problem is worse than no solution at all, so we have to make sure we are first solving the right problem. And yet so many organizations are making this mistake with AI. They're rushing to adopt tools, setting policies instead of thinking about guidelines and communication strategies, launching AI initiatives without first getting clear on what is the problem we are trying to solve. So today, I want to introduce you to the workshop that we've been doing with our clients that has been getting massive success. It is called the Foundation Sprint, and it was created by Jake Knapp and John Zaratsky, the same people who created the Design Sprint, which basically changed how people thought about product development at Google. They have now come up with a brand new sprint because they've noticed what everyone's noticing. We have to first design the problem we are trying to solve. It is the first step of any ambitious project. So if we're thinking about how is our organization using AI, you want to do a foundation sprint before you start making decisions, before you start building things, before you start implementing AI tools. We really want to sit down and define the problem, but not just the problem. What is your advantage in the space and how do you merge these two together? Because if you don't do this first, you're going to risk spending months or even years possibly chasing the wrong thing. And here's the best part. This method isn't just for startups. It is a game changer for schools and organizations that want to integrate AI in a way that is intentional, ethical, and one that's going to bring everyone on board. It's a structured process that aligns your team on the core problem before jumping into solutions. I want you to think of it like a blueprint before you start building. Without it, you end up with disconnected initiatives that don't drive real impact and leave people feeling frustrated. Now, one of the key exercises in the Foundation Sprint is something called creating your founding hypothesis. It helps teams create a clear, simple statement that you can share with everyone where you define your AI strategy. And it goes like this: if we help your customer solve this problem with this approach, they will choose it over the other thing because our solution is, and why is that better? Now, this might seem really basic, but simplicity is what makes it powerful. You see, great products and strategies click with people when they make a clear, compelling promise. And that's exactly what we did with our partner at Desert Sands Unified when we were working on their AI strategy. You see, Desert Sands didn't just react to AI. They didn't jump to ban it or blindly adopt it. They created a guidance framework designed for human agency and decision-making, making sure that not just students, but everyone in their community knew how to make decisions with AI. They call this RISE. How do we rise to the occasion and make informed decisions that we can share with others about how we're using AI and what we're experimenting with? They didn't let fear and confusion dictate how they were going to act. Instead, they created a series of 4 questions looking at, when using AI, how are we thinking about respect, integrity, support, and empathy, and how is our use of AI aligned with those elements and their values? And if we break it down using the founding hypothesis method, this is what it looked like for Desert Sands. If we help our community solve the confusion and fear around AI's role in decision-making with guidance designed for human agency, they will choose it over reactive rules and restrictions, because our solution is clear, creative, and builds on the vision, mission, and values of our culture. Desert Sands' biggest advantage? They had a learner profile that put students at the center, a strong culture of trust, and a bold leadership team designing what's next and pausing to ask the right questions. That's why it worked. That's why their AI approach is now a model for everyone going forward in the future. Imagine applying this to your school, to your district, or to your organization. What's the real challenge you think AI should be solving for you? And what would your founding hypothesis look like? This is exactly what we do in our Foundation Sprint workshops, because the difference between leading with AI and just using AI comes down to one thing: clarity. With these workshops, schools and organizations are not just experimenting with AI, they are solving the right problem from the start. So if you want to lead the way in AI in your organization, I invite you to book a call with me with the link below, and let's figure out if the Foundation Sprint is something that's right for your organization to help make AI work for you, not against you. So now that you kind of see the difference between those two approaches, AI-enabled leaders don't just adopt AI, they embed it into how their teams think, work, and solve problems. They're not just starting with AI itself or apps, they're starting with the right problem. And this is really exactly where most organizations and sometimes even entire industries go wrong. Because just like AI, design thinking and many of these other things are not just a magic fix. I've seen it happen over and over again. Companies, schools, entire leadership teams jump into design thinking workshops expecting these big innovation breakthroughs, only to come out with a pile of Post-its, some notes, but no real change that other people feel empowered to go back and implement. Why? Because they skipped the most important step, which is the first step. So if there's one takeaway that I hope you've had from this video, it's before you design anything, before you build anything, you need to define the right problem and make sure that you're actually solving something that's actually going to move the needle forward and that's going to get people invested and excited about what you're creating as you move forward together. Because like we said before, a brilliant solution to the wrong problem is worse than no solution at all. It's one of the things that Desert Sands and that we see many other people get right and see people excited about change instead of fearful. Instead of jumping straight into AI policies, tech rollouts, or adopting applications, step back, ask the right question. How are we going to guide people in our organization in making good decisions with AI and other emerging technologies? And this is exactly what we do in our Foundation Sprint workshops. We don't just brainstorm cool AI ideas or just say, let's go get these applications. We make sure that AI is solving the right problem for you. So if you are ready to lead the way in AI and education and in your organization, let's make it happen. Make sure you like and subscribe for more tips on how to use AI in your leadership strategy and as you design the future, because the future is here, so let's design it together the right way.